Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to the Mikestand. So, we'll wait a few minutes, give people a chance to get in here. Let's see. Come along with the snorks, swim along with the snorks. So much to see waiting for you and me. Have some fun with the snorks. If you can breathe underwater, where would you go? If you had friends underwater, who would you know? Come along and sing along too. Yeah. Come along with the snorks. Swim along with the snorks. Happy to see waiting for you and me. Come along with the have some fun with the come along with the snorks. Transformers, robots in disguise. Autobots rage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. Let's see. Let's see now. Hong Kong Fooey, number one super guy. Hong Kong Fooey, quicker than a human eye. Chicky chong, chicky wong, wong, wong. Hong Kong Fooey, you're terrific. Let's see now. Rambo, the force of freedom. As you shiver and shake, Rambo, the force of freedom. Let's see now. Fantastic Max. Oh, here comes Max on a routine mission. Will he lose or win? Four-ply diaper and that slave to pin. His tops are mean terrific. I don't know another word that says it so specific. Oh, and here goes Max on his laugh until I cry. Four-ply diaper and that slave to pin. Fantastic Max. Let's see. And there goes Max on a routine mission. Let me try. I guess I'm going to try something. Be right back. Going to go off camera here for a moment. Try something here. Maybe this will help fix situation, as it were. As I do. I'm back now. There we go. Alrighty then. Ah, let's see, hopefully hold it. Yeah. Alrighty then. So, still waiting around for people to show up here to see. Okay. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web at each side. And to see, just like flies. Look out, there goes the Spider-Man. Big and strong, lifting up. He's got radioactive blood. From a swing overhead, take a look overhead. Hey there, there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrived just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does what friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Welcome is, he is yours. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big hang up. Whenever there's a hang up, you'll find a Spider-Man. When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who oppose his shield must yield. In the red and the white and the blue it comes true when Captain America throws his mighty shield. Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with the hottest wheel. As Iron Man, all jets of flame, he fights and fights with repulsor rays. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Doc Bruce Banner, belted by gamma rays, turned into Hulk. Ain't he just glamoury, wrecking the town with the powerful, you know, ain't so monster. Who isn't lovable, the ever-loving Hulk? Hulk, Hulk. Cross the rainbow bridge of Asgard, where the blue means heaven's roar. And behold, incredulous wonder, the god of thunder, mighty Thor. Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere, he can breathe underwater and go flying through the air. Noble submariner, prince of the deep, so beware of deadly demons. Lord Namor of Atlantis is the prince of the deep. All right, well, we're coming up on 9.5 minutes here, so go over what's on tap for tonight. So I've got kind of 4 stories to go over, plus the wrestling roundup. Let's see. We'll talk a little bit about some changes coming to Tsunami in the next couple of weeks here. Also, let's see. A solo leveling manhwa manhwa artist has apparently passed away after a long illness. Jong Sung-rak. Let's see. Jim Cornette has some things to say. I guess he had some ideas that he now wants. He's had some ideas about what to do with the Kane character back during his time with the WWF. During his time there, and then Kevin Smith now coming out talking about the new He-Man. So, with all that being said and done, why don't we go ahead and get started? Alrighty then. So here's what we're going to talk about first. So Toonami, which of course the viewership has been going out a bit. Now, partly I think that's due in part to the fact, with streaming services like Netflix and Crunchyroll taking more and more content, people are not watching TV as much. So, Toonami has not been as quick to replenish their lineups. Well, starting this weekend here, Saturday the 30th, going into Sunday the 31st, Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, will be making its return as they'll be starting to show the second season 2 of that anime, starting this weekend. So starting this weekend, of course, up through the August 13th, the lineup will be this way. At midnight will be Primal, and Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, making its return at the 12:30 time slot, of course, replacing Assassination Classroom. Then the reruns of Lupin the Third Part 6 on at 1. Then for a full hour, 1:30 to 2:30, you got One Piece. They started from season 5, from what I understand. Naruto Shippuden on at 2:30, and then finishing out the lineup, Shenmue the Animation and Attack on Titan in the 3 o'clock hour. Then starting on August 13th, in a couple weeks here, Shenmue and Attack on Titan will finish their rerun runs, and they will be replaced with Blade Runner, Black Lotus, and Made in Abyss. So starting on August 13th, midnight will be Primal, Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, at 12:30, 1 o'clock, Lupin the Third Part 6, 1:30, One Piece for an hour, Naruto Shippuden on at 2:30 rather, and then Blade Runner, Black Lotus on at 3, and then 3:30, Made in Abyss. So Konami, as I said, I'm still kind of waiting for them to bring back like Black Clover, because I'm sure there's still more Black Clover that's been dubbed that they can put up now. But even I haven't been watching, because for the most part, most of the shows the only two shows I watch in this current lineup myself are Naruto Shippuden and Yashahime Princess Half Demon. I am watching One Piece, but I'm watching it on my own from an early, and I'm far, I'm, where I'm at in my own personal watching One Piece. I'm not even where they're at on Toonami yet here. Yeah. So, anyways, and I did watch Made in Abyss when it premiered. So, when programs are spread out like that, I don't even bother trying to watch it. I just go about my business there. So just to recap, bit here. All right. So just to recap, starting this weekend, Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, my kids for Primal on at midnight, Yashahime, Princess Half Demon on at 12:30, 1 o'clock, Lupin the Third, Part 6, on from 1:30 to 2:30, 2 episodes of One Piece, at 2:30, Naruto Shippuden and Shenmue the Animation on 3, and Attack on Titan at 3:30. And then starting on August 13th, Primal on at midnight, followed by Yashahime Princess Half Demon on at 12:30. Lupin the Third Part 6 at 1. At 1:30, 2 episodes of One Piece. At 2:30, Naruto Shippuden. 3 a.m. Blade Runner Black Lotus, and then Made in Abyss on at 3:30. There we go with that. All right, so with that now, let's move on to the next set of articles. Alrighty then. So here we go with our next article here. All right. Solo leveling manhwa artist Sung-rak passes away after long battle with chronic illness. Article by Nerdigans Inc. Published yesterday. All right. Jong Sung-rak, better known by his pen name Dubu, under which he served as the artist behind the best-selling manhwa Solo Leveling and CEO of Redice Studio, has passed away due to complications related to a long-term chronic illness. Quote, on July 23rd, which should have been this past Saturday, 2022, the artist of the Solo Leveling manhwa. Now, manhwa, just in case you guys don't know, that's Korean comics. That's manga is Japanese comics, manhwa is Korean comics, and then manhua is Chinese comics. So, Mr. Sung-rak Jong has passed away due to health issues. Unquote. Redice Studio announced through their official Twitter account, translated via Yen Press. In parentheses there. Quote, as his family wished, a small funeral was held at his mother's residence, attended by family and close friends. They then explained that, quote, Mr. Jong had been struggling with a health condition for a long time, unquote, revealing that he, quote, passed away from cerebral hemorrhage stemming from his condition, unquote. Quote, we would like to thank the readers for all the love and support you've shown for Solo Leveling, and we ask that everyone prays for Mr. Jong to rest in a better place, unquote. The studio continued, quote, the staff of Solo Leveling and all of us at Redice Studio pray for Mr. Jong. And there's a typo here. I think that's supposed to say who, not EO. Interesting typo there, but that can happen W and ER next to each other on most keyboards. Always held a deep love for his work and the readers, unquote. In a separate tweet, DNC Webtoons, the online comic publishing platform responsible for launching several iconic manhwa, including Solo Leveling, tweeted their condolences on Sung-rak's tragic passing. Likewise, informed readers of Sung-rak's passing and affirmed, quote, we would like to thank all the readers deeply for their love for, quote unquote, Solo Leveling as we pass on the news of this passing, unquote. Quote, the employees of DNC Webtoon Biz mourned the sudden news of his passing and prayed that he rest in peace, unquote, they concluded. Similar to Hunter x Hunter, World Trigger, Tower of God, The God of High School, and Berserk, Solo Leveling manhwa serialization was plagued with hiatuses due to Sung-rak's health issues. His chronic illness first manifested back in August 2019, at which time he was forced to take his first sudden hiatus, this one lasting a total of 4 weeks. Between the release of Solo Leveling's 85th and 86th chapters, he would take his next hiatus in March 2020, around the release of Chapter 110, though at the time provided no further details regarding the reasons for the break. I mean, I know people are curious as to what exactly he was dealing with, but of course they're not going to probably share that. If he passed away from a cerebral hemorrhage, maybe it could have been a blood issue, it could have been a circulatory issue, but of course nobody will know. In November 2020, Sung-rak's chronic illness would arise once again, forcing the DNC Webtoon editorial department to announce yet another break for the popular manhwa, that Chapter 128 of the Solo Leveling manhwa would go on another sudden hiatus. This time, DNC explicitly noted that one of the reasons for the series delay was to allow for quote unquote recovery of the artist's health. In 2021, as the end of the series was fast approaching, Solo Leveling's ever increasing number of hiatuses began to make fans feel as if something particularly serious was amiss. In hindsight, it is now obvious that it was Sung-rak's chronic illness starting to catch up with him. First hiatus of the year was announced in June, with DNC informing fans that the upcoming 156th chapter of Solo Leveling would be delayed because, quote, Sung-rak will be absent due to his health reasons, unquote. Unfortunately, the artist's chronic illness was only continuing to take its toll, and just a few days later, DNC announced that his hiatus had been extended by a week, quote, to restore Jong Sung-rak's health, unquote. Basically saying that he needs more rest in order to recover. So this sounds like it was a degenerate. It sounds like it was a degenerative um, disorder here, degenerative disease. Though he eventually found the strength to continue to continuing working. Okay, that grammatically that's not right. To continue his work, I believe his return was short-lived, and in September 2021, he was forced to take yet another 2-week break, which sadly would eventually come to be known as his final one before his death. So at least so based on that statement right there, it sounds like he was still working, and as he passed here. So if he was able to continue to work here. All right. So, anyways, continuing on here. With his work having touched millions of people around the world, news of Sung-rak's death caused a wave of sorrow among his fans, many of whom took to Twitter to give their condolences to the legendary artist and his family. Quote, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to the many fans who read, in smaller quotes, Solo Leveling during Dubu Sensei's lifetime, in brackets, unquote, said Picoma, whose platform made Solo Leveling available to readers in Japan. Quote, we are deeply saddened by this sudden news, unquote. Quote, Solo Leveling, smaller quote, um, is a monumental work that gave rise to the popularity of webtoon in Japan, unquote. They noted, as translated for Bounding into Comics by professional translator at Bonsama. Quote, we wish to express our sincerest respects and gratitude to Dubu Sensei for his artwork. From the bottom of our hearts, we pray for his happiness in the, in brackets, afterlife. We also extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, unquote. And it's kind of interesting how they're, I guess they're taking, some of the panels from the panels and maybe even some of the anime here from the, from some of the artwork here, and they're showing it here. Yen Press, who licenses English versions of both Solo Leveling manhwa and its original light novel, declared, quote, we are saddened to hear of the passing of Mr. Sung-rak Jong, also known as Dubu, the artist of the Solo Leveling comic. Quote, we thank him for his great contributions and extend our condolences to his loved ones, unquote, the publisher said. One of Yen Press's associate editors, Won Seo, um, tweeted their own condolences for the late manhwa artist, writing, quote, Jong Sung-rak Dubu, the artist behind the gorgeous illustrations of Solo Leveling webtoon, passed away recently, unquote. Quote, his work played a huge role in garnering a global audience for Korean manhwa like never before, she detailed, unquote. Quote, may you rest in peace, unquote. The official account for the Solo Leveling's upcoming anime adaptation, announced just earlier this month at this year's Anime Expo, released a statement on behalf of the series production team. The production team for the upcoming Solo Leveling anime adaptation, announced just earlier this month at Anime Expo 22, released a statement expressing their shock and sadness at the news. On the occasion of the passing away of Mr. Dubu, the illustrator of Solo Leveling, quote unquote, small quote, we would like to express our deepest condolences on the passing of Mr. Dubu, who was in charge of drawing, quote unquote, Solo Leveling, and we pray for his soul to rest in peace, quote unquote. The statement read, according to a translation provided to Panini Comics by Twitter user at KT230X HF VVU Ka 8. Okay. Man, what a complicated name that is. Let's see. Okay. I just check something real quick here. All right, all right. Get more thing here. All right, so nothing needed there. All right. So, anyways, we continue on with the article here. Quote, Mr. Dubu was a great help to us in all aspects of the production of the animation. And we were in the midst of working together on the animation project. The team continued, quote, although we regret that we will not be able to see the finished animation, we send our utmost respect and sincere condolences to him for his role in the breakthrough of the wonderful work. Smaller quotes, solo leveling. Sung-rak revolutionized the manga world with solo leveling and will undoubtedly be remembered as one of the major innovators of modern manhwa. As for us, we like to believe that the Shadow King has escorted the artist to Elysium and pray that he can finally rest in peace in paradise. Alrighty then. So yeah, so that's a bit of a sad bit of news there that he passed on, but in his life, you know it. And I actually do have to step away from the computer for a moment here. We'll come back to do the next story here in a moment. I do have to step away from the computer for a moment though, so I'll be right back. I am back. All right, so let's move on to the next article we're going to look at here. Where are we at on time here? All right. Former WWE creative member and manager Jim Cornette shared his unused ideas for Glenn Jacobs' Kane character. Um, yeah, now Jim Cornette is a legendary manager, most famously known for managing, the Midnight Express during some of its most um, successful runs. Initially with Dennis with of course Loverboy Dennis Condrey and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, and then later with Beautiful Bobby Eaton um, and Sweet Stan Lane, and then later, of course, managing the tag team of um, managing the tag team of the Heavenly Bodies in his own promotion of Smoky Mountain, the Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, and the Doctor of Desire Tom Pritchard. So here we go with this. Okay, so article by J.D. Augustine published earlier today. Of course, comes from the world of wrestling. Before he was mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs was another big and scary wrestler trying to make his name in WWE, then WWF. First, they made him a crazy dentist, and then he was the brief replacement of Kevin Nash and the guys of Diesel in 1996. And before that, I believe he was Leviathan in Smoky Mountain. Um, Actually, no, he was actually Unabomb. He was Unabomb in Smoky Mountain. Unabomb. He had teamed up with Al Snow in Smoky Mountain prior to even coming to the WWE, or WWF. Neither gimmick lasted, and few thought they would accept. Um, and few thought they would except for company's chairman Vince McMahon. The writing seemed to be on the wall for Jacobs before his career even started. But fortunately, they gave him one more chance as the lauded Attitude Era was on the rise. They put a mask on him, made him the brother of The Undertaker, presented the illusion he could control fire, and gave him possibly the best debut in wrestling history as Kane at the pay-per-view um, Bad Blood in '97. One clean rip of a cage door from its hinges later, and the rest was history. And what's kind of funny too, how they gave Glenn Jacobs the name Kane. I think in some of his very early appearances, the Undertaker was known as Kane the Undertaker, and then they just dropped the Kane part and just called him the Undertaker. So that's another um all right. So anyways, however, while McMahon and his creative crew had concepts for the gimmick that eventually won out, Kane almost had a different and creepy first appearance. Had they gone with the ideas of the decorated yet polarizing wrestling mind of Jim Cornette, which he explained on a recent edition of his Cornet's drive-through podcast, several pages would have been taken from John Carpenter's playbook. Oh, Kane's mask and a drill is, the whole dentist gimmick. Cornette, who worked backstage in WWE then, or WWF, reveals in episode 253 that he was inspired by Carpenter's trend-setting 1978 film Halloween, the godfather in many ways of the slasher genre, and its popular villain Michael Myers. Wanting to present something germane to the programming and McMahon's tilt toward quote unquote ridiculous show business, Cornette pitched a spin on his very favorite horror movie, one which the boss probably didn't see and was clueless about. For Kane, that was very Myers-esque. Cornette pictured Kane wearing tattered dark clothes, similar to, but not quite the same as Myers' coveralls, as well as a mask. Well, it's kind in a way, even Undertaker's initial outfit looked a little tattered at times. Looked a little ragged and tattered at times. So, that would have been interesting. Let's see. Comparing it to the shapes famously altered and spray painted visage of William Shatner, he flaunts. He said Kane's mask would be a handsome face with a blank expression covering the scars. Let's see. To explain where Kane has been all these years after surviving a fire at a funeral home as a child, Cornette envisioned him chained up in a basement where he's kept by a storyline father, an Undertaker's jilted manager, the late Paul Bearer, who would stop in every so often to check on his tortured quote unquote son and feed him putrid raw steak with bread covered in maggots. And Cornette's got a bit of a dark mind, doesn't he? He's got a bit of a twisted, sick mind, doesn't he? From what I heard about his love life, yeah, he's got some skeletons in that closet upstairs. We, the viewers, would see this in a vignette through Kane's eyes from behind his mask, like in Halloween, Friday the 13th film series. We'd also have heard his heavy breathing reminiscent of Myers as he holds his hand to a candle flame. Rather than flinching, Kane would giggle in grunts as if he was Doomsday, to add another influence to the list. Doomsday, I'm guessing the superhero or Superman villain, I guess. Pictures and cutouts of Undertaker taped to the wall from the floor to the ceiling were supposed to be in front of him, much like how the priest in the films such as The Omen and Annabelle Creation covered rooms completely with pages of Bible to keep evil out or contained. and Cain would set them ablaze. Instructed by Bearer to blame his brother for the confinement and rotten food, Cain's revenge would begin. Yeah, so I could see in some ways why I could see in some ways why this didn't probably get past the boardroom. You know, even if the WWF at the time was going for like a TV 14 rating, going for a more mature product, I could see the FCC having an issue with even a primetime show as Raw was, and it still is, you know, basically depicting somebody in such squalor, depicting somebody, you know, yeah, they would not want to put like for horror stuff like that. The idea of having somebody like eating bread covered in maggots and putrid raw steak. That's that's something for like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's Elvira stuff. Elvira. Let's see. This pitch by Cornette never made it past the concept stage. I wonder why. And according to him, grossed out McMahon, who would come up with worse, more grotesque things for Kane, Bray Wyatt, and himself to do in the following years, not limited to lighting people on fire or eating strange things. Yeah, but still, the idea of having, putting on a primetime program, somebody eating maggots. Yeah, that's not going to go. I'm sure that Vince would not have been the only one grossed out by that. There'd probably be a number of fans at home who would be grossed out by that too and be sending letters into USA. Hey, what in the world are you guys doing? You crazy bleepy bleep bleep bleeps. Anyways, let's see. Continuing on here. Quote, I may have been ahead of my time for WWE in 1997, or, well, yeah, WWE, I guess he's calling it now, said Cornette on his show. Quote, instead, Vince called up creative services and had a superhero outfit made red tights and red mask, unquote. uh, Despite Cornette's skepticism that someone held held in solitary darkness by his rotund evil father and his future manager could have the means and wherewithal to get a costume made, Jacobs was sold on what became his signature look um, for most of his career. In McMahon's mind, Kane looked up to superheroes in a weird way to compensate for traits he lacked deep down: confidence, restraint, nobility, sense of justice, and a forgiving nature. Um, Quote, as Glenn said in the special WWE Rivals that aired on A&E, and smaller quotes, Kane wants to be better than The Undertaker, so he wants to look better too, unquote. Cornette recounted with chagrin. There's Cornette playing psychologist. Hmm. Alrighty then. When asked his perspective on quote um, psychopathic serial killer from the movies or superhero with a red cape, unquote, co-host Brian Last answered, quote, I'm not into the whole raw meat thing, unquote, and Keen's appearance worked better without an explanation. Last added, and that's the guy's name, uh, Keen worked well under a mask and should go down as one of the all-time great masked wrestlers. WE would tamper with the character eventually by turning Kane into a goofball and ditching the mask for a number of years before both he and Undertaker retired to pursue other ventures and ride off into the sunset. Jim Cornette is equally retired from promoting wrestling, performing on air, commenting, and traveling, which he did a lot of for 4 decades. Known for his explosive temper, he's become notorious lately for his intransigent stances on the way wrestling is booked and presented nowadays, on top of his left wing political views. Mm-hmm. Well, Cornette was always a bit of a loudmouth. I mean, and he's kind of been depicted in some very like depicted as a mama's boy, as a wimp, you know, you know. He's been depicted as basically the guy that there are those guys out there who just the minute they open their mouth, you just want to slap the mouth shut. Cornette was one of those guys. Um, Although a fan and supporter of Jacobs for a long time, his view, like so many others, when it comes to the Knox County mayor, has soured since Jacobs' conservative pro-life position became public knowledge in light of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Yeah, I mean, as a promoter, of course, I think Cornette was one of the first guys to actually promote, to actually use Glenn Jacobs in his company. Because prior to going to the WWE as Dr. Isaac Yankem, he was Unabomb in Smoky Mountain, where he teamed with Al Snow, and they had at least a successful run as Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team. If I understand correctly, I think they were probably the last Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champion in its initial run. But yeah, but knowing now that Glenn Jacobs is a conservative, um, and of course, um, Cornette is known for his left wing ideology. That would probably put them at odds with each other. So there we go with that one. Let's see now. All right, so we got one more story to go over here. The last story we'll do tonight, last story we'll look at. And I know Yellow Flash also did some coverage on this. All right. All right, so here we go. This is gonna be the last. All right, so let's take a look at this. After first season bait and switch, Kevin Smith claims He-Man will appear in every episode of, in small quotes, Masters of the Universe Revolutions. Article by Spencer McCulley, published earlier today. So here we go. With fan trust in his Eternian efforts almost non-existent thanks to his having lied about his plans to bench the beloved hero for Tila in Masters of the Universe Revelations, series showrunner Kevin Smith has promised fans that He-Man will appear in every episode of the Revival line's next entry, Masters of the Universe Revolutions. Smith made claim to this fact while making an appearance at the Masters of the Universe 40th anniversary panel held during the recent San Diego Comic-Con. As per recaps of the panel provided by attending staff members of both Screen Rant and comicbook.com, following a brief Q&A wherein he defended his decision to shift the focus of the first season away from franchise's main character, Smith confirmed that He-Man would be seen in every episode of Revolutions. Yeah, but that may not save it if they're going to still do the same woke writing that they did in the previous show. If they're just bringing him back, hoping to get more fans. If they still have the same woke writing from the previous season, that may, just simply having He-Man in every episode may not do enough to to encourage fans to come back. So with that, let's continue on here. Let's see. The showrunner further teased the series' second part would be, quote, all about He-Man versus Skeletor, unquote, and that its story would be, quote unquote, incredibly moving. Okay, incredibly moving. All right, that might raise some red flags to some people. Do fans of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe want to see an incredibly moving story about He-Man and Skeletor? I don't know. It depends on what they mean by it. They mean by what I think the woke meaning would be by that. That's gonna probably cause some problems for the show. Many of us who grew up watching He-Man back in the 80s, a lot of it was about the good guy beating up the bad guy. And the bad guy, like, almost on the verge of crying whenever the good guy got hold of him. Well, this guarantee seems to imply an incoming course correction for the series in order to bring it more in line with its original advertised identity as a direct sequel to the original 80s cartoon, given how he lied to fans regarding his intent to subvert Masters of the Universe and subsequently attacked the critics who rightly called him out. Smith's words are unlikely to either inspire any confidence in his work or win back any of the fans he turned away from the franchise. Yep, I would say that would be a good analysis. I would agree with that analysis right there. Pretty much the same analysis I think I just made. The saga of Smith's He-Man bait and switch began at PowerCon 2019, where, after announcing that Revelations was in production, Smith unveiled the series' official Netflix subscription, which revealed that series center on Teela and her quest, quote, to solve the mystery of the missing Sword of Power in a race against time to prevent the end of the universe. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Following this official announcement, YouTubers Clownfish TV took to Twitter in March 2020 to report, quote, my understanding of Kevin Smith's He-Man series from an alleged insider, Teela is a better He-Man than Adam, and he steps aside to let her and her girlfriend, in parentheses, take over her hero duties, unquote. Yeah. There was another, if true, unquote, if true, unquote, quote unquote, they added at the time, quote, this won't play well. And it didn't. It did not play well. It did not play well at all. And there's a classic scene right there. Skeletor raising his fist in frustration. Wow, get He-Man! Yeah, and Clownfish was right there. It didn't play well. A lot of people would agree it did not play well. Was an attempt at an agenda push, try to, take hearts and minds, and it just blew up in their face like a Kane entrance. Smith then proceeded to tell one of the central lies of his He-Man controversy, retweeting Clownfish TV's tweet and writing, quote, as showrunner, I really could have used these story suggestions before we locked the scripts. However, no, He-Man does no stepping aside, and Teela has no girlfriend in our show. And that was proven to be false. Quote, the storyline is pretty dark and very metal, unquote. He added, quote, before Revelation, we were calling it the end of the universe. He concluded his dismissal on the YouTubers by informing them, quote, also Clownfish TV, instead of posting your faux, smaller quotes, insider info, here's and stars, real story. Mattel made behind the scenes video featuring our actors recording. So a fan took some of Mark and Lena's dialogue and spliced them into old Filmation clips. I wonder what that has to do with anything Smith was talking about. Despite Smith's condescending denial, word of Teela's promotion to series lead would resurface just 2 months later when Screen Rant reported that, quote, one major difference in brackets, between the original series and Revelations, unbracketed, is that though He-Man will certainly be around, he won't be the main protagonist anymore. Instead, the focus will be on Teela, unquote. They added, quote, even so, He-Man should still have a large presence since the series never did get to explore the final battle between He-Man and his greatest enemy, Skeletor. In turn, Smith would correct the outlet, quote, with all due respect to Screen Rant, I've read every Masters of the Universe Revelation script for our shows. In parentheses, plus wrote a few, and viewed 4 amazing animatics. While Teela is as present as she's always been in the Masters of the Universe adventures, and she plays a big role, our series is literally all about He-Man. Smith would once triple down on this lie in January 2021. So he didn't just double down on it, he tripled down on it. That's something else. Meeting a Twitter users pointing to the presence of a He-Man figure in the series' first wave of toys as proof that the theories of his sidelining were unfounded, with the cheeky assertion, quote unquote, stop making sense. In a subsequent interview given to Screen Rant 2021, the showrunner himself all but outright confirmed Clownfish TV's initial reporting, telling the outlet, quote, revelation in the title, Masters of the Universe Revelation, refers to Teela's journey. Quote, Teela finds out something about her that was hinted at in the old Legacy show, unquote. He continued, quote, and that's a kernel that we blew out and really played with in this show. So the revelation in question really has to do with Teela, unquote. Yeah, now, what they're talking about there, of course, was so as part of the He-Man lore, it was eventually revealed that Teela is actually the biological daughter of the sorceress of Grayskull. Okay? And the sorceress entrusted Man-at-Arms to raise her until the day came when she would take on the role as sorceress. Now, what they did in Revelation here, though, had nothing to do with that. Okay? They basically, as some of them pointed out, they were trying to make Teela the better He-Man than Adam. And of course, in a way, they didn't even really need to do that because, I mean, you think about it, they had a female He-Man in She-Ra, you know, Adam's sister Dora. So, they were just, again, this was just an agenda push. Ultimately, after the show aired and fans discovered that Smith had been less than truthful, the showrunner defended his decision by arguing, quote, if He-Man giving his life for the entire universe is stepping aside, then Tony Stark, in brackets, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, stepped aside. Jesus Christ stepped aside. Yeah, mentioning Jesus Christ in there is not going to win people over either. Considering that Filmation in of itself is, I think, was kind of right leaning, or considered a little bit more conservative overall. Quote, it's a messianic moment, and if you follow classic literature, the hero's arc, it's where the hero has to go eventually, unquote. He explained to Orko voice actor Griffin Newman during an appearance by the latter on a Masters of the Universe Revelation themed episode of Smith's podcast. Fat Man Beyond, quote, you have to sacrifice your life for a cause greater than yourself, unquote. Quote, when folks are going, oh man, you bleeping emasculated He-Man, unquote, I'm like, by making him sacrifice himself by saving all of Eternia, unquote. Smith continued, quote, that's not sidelining, that's not stepping aside, that's heroic, that's the point of a hero. Of course, he's gonna probably, the way he said that, it's almost like he's trying to tie in the whole, how these Me Too women have come out and how they're so stunning and brave. Remember that stuff? Things a little sound like what Smith's trying to pull here. Oh, the rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum. Words I love you rolling off my tongue. Oh, never will I roam, for I know my place is home. Where the ocean meets the skies, I'll be sailing. Alrighty then. So, anyways, and back to the article here. Let's see. Turning to the specific accusations that he had lied about swapping He-Man for Teela, Smith justified his decision by exclaiming, quote, the thing that frustrates me so much about the, in small quotes, lie thing, that people are coming up, knocking on your door and saying, quote, is it true that this happens in episode 42 or episode 4, bleeping 9 months before the show comes out? Unquote. All right. So, anyways, I didn't think I was tricky with the words, quote unquote. He said, quote, I literally said, Teela does no step, in small quote, Teela does no stepping aside, on small quote. Given how his sentence progresses, it's unclear whether he meant something by this or simply confused He-Man and Teela. She has a friend who's a girl, but not a girlfriend. She does not wield the sword of power, unquote. he stated, quote, I'll tell you right now, here's another spoiler, but she never wields the sword ever in any of the new episodes. So everything I said was God's honest bleeping truth. All right, well, anyways, we'll figure it out. Let's see. On the specific reaction to Clownfish TV's now okay, before I do that, I gotta go off camera here because all right, just for a moment because things are getting a little dimmer here, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. Let's get back to the article here. On the topic of his reaction to Clownfish TV's now probably accurate reporting, Smith maintained people are saying, in small quotes, you lied to Clownfish, in bracket TV. You gotta apologize, and I honestly bleeping believe with my heart I'll put my child's life on it. None of those things I said are bleeping lies. They're all factual, unquote. However, he did apologize to the YouTubers, quote, for leaning into it, tweeting, then hitting it again, tweeting again later on, unquote, claiming that his responses to their reporting were made simply to obfuscate from what I felt like was the thing that I didn't want anyone to know. The information being that Adam dies in the first episode of the series. Yeah, well, basically, I think what it almost sounds like there is he's actually more upset that he actually seems to be more upset that he actually got caught in a lie than anything else, or that. I was sitting there, going, "Oh bleep, they're going to start talking about in bracket He-Man's death in episode one, unbracketed." Smith recalled, "Quote, over here is bracket the conversation with Clownfish that I can address. I could answer this and maybe take attention away from this over here." And mercifully, bracket leaks of Adam's death never got louder, so people never knew. As of writing, Netflix has not confirmed a release date for Master of the Universe Revolutions. All right, so there we go. We're done with that one. So that's the end of that article then. All right, so we're coming up on an hour and a half already. um, so yeah, so is anything on here? Oh, great. No, how did this happen? I gotta just check some. Something's going on here. I don't know what. Anyways, let me. Before I do that, maybe I should actually. All right, I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment again, just to. I gotta try to fix something. All right, something's a little screwy with my computer right now because apparently I can't get my keyboard to work right here. Hmm, I'm gonna see if I can. Well, anyways, well, let me at least try to finish up here then. All right. Well, anyways, so all right. Well, okay. So we're gonna try to finish up here. So, um, today is Thursday. Today is Thursday. July 28th, 2022. So we're gonna take a look back at this day in niche history. Let me just go ahead and 2, 7, 7, and then oh, hmm. Okay. Well, I guess when I cleared that out, I guess okay. So when I took that out, okay, so now things are working again. Don't know why they weren't working before, but now my keyboard seems to be working right again. So that's good to know. I don't know what happened with that, but I'm glad it's working now. So anyways, without any further ado, let's go ahead and sorry, today being Thursday, July the 28th, 2022. Let's take a look back at this day in niche history. History! So, first off, I'd like to wish a very special happy birthday to Miss Sally Struthers, who turned 75 today. Turned 75 today, even though they haven't updated that on Facebook yet. Sally Struthers is best known for her role as Gloria Civic on All in the Family, but she also, of course, did some voice work over her career, including Charlene Sinclair in Dinosaurs in the ABC sitcom, and Rebecca Cunningham in the Disney animated series Tailspin. So happy 75th birthday to Miss Sally Struthers. Um, Moving on to the next piece in each history as we move ahead in time. 92, 7, 82. Okay, so anyways, on this date in 1982, we move ahead, which was 40 years ago today. Toei Animation will release the anime movie Arcadia of My Youth. On this date in 1982, Toei Animation would release the movie Arcadia of My Youth. So that happened on this date in 1982. All right, Can we move ahead to 1992? We move ahead to 1992. On this date, 30 years ago today, in 1992, the 75th issue of X-Men Classic went on sale on this date. The story titled Rogue was actually reprinted from Uncanny X-Men number 171, 1983. Writer was Chris Claremont, penciled by Walter Simonson. Bob Vlecek did the inking. Tom Orzechowski did the lettering, and then Glynis Wayne did the coloring. So on this date in 1982, the 75th issue of X-Men Classic went on sale on this date for $1.25, and it was 32 pages. Oh yeah, I forgot about the wrestling news. I'll get to that in a moment. All right, since we've already kind of gone through the I was a bit distracted there. And finally, in this day and age history, so we're doing things a little out of order here. Things got a little screwy here for a moment here. But going back 15 years ago today, professional wrestler Carl Gotch, born Carl Istas, passed away at the age of 82 on this date back in 2007. Now, Carl Gotch, of course, is a former WWF World Tag Team Champion with Rene Goulet. Beside from that, he was also a well-known trainer. Among the guys he trained included, many of them big New Japan stars included Antonio Inoki, Tatsumi Fujinami, Osamu Kido, the original Tiger Master Toru Sayama, Minoru Suzuki, who is currently active. So Akira Maeda, Animal Hamaguchi. These are the guys who were trained by Carl Gotch. So on this date, back in 2007, Carl Gotch would pass away at the age of 82. And with that, guys, I thank you all for being here. Oh wait. Actually, before we go, sorry. Okay, wrestling roundup real quick here. So from the looks of it, the match that was originally planned, one of the matches that was planned for SummerSlam, they decided to move to Clash at the Castle. That was the Seth Rollins Riddle match. That was Rollins Riddle match. They basically gave Riddle a kayfabe injury. They wanted to move the match to Clash at the Castle for some reason. So that's an update there on that. We'll just kind of go through this real quick. In AEW news, so last night's Dynamite, John Moxley retained the AEW interim World Heavyweight Championship, only to be challenged after the match by Chris Jericho, which I kind of felt like this was going to happen. Let's see. You also had Thunder Rosa retain the women's title over Miyu Yamashita, or Yamashita, depending on how you want to say it. And also, so in his initial title defense, Ricky Starks retained the FTW title over Danhausen, only for him to get cocky again this week, and lead out another open challenge, this time to be answered that night. And Hook came out and defeated him with the Rim Rum, the half Nelson choke, known as the Kata Hajime, the move that his father Taz made famous. And there's some talk that there's been some talk that possibly Ricky Starks may be heading towards a face turn at this point. And the way it looked, at least from how I saw what's been going on in the last couple of weeks, and see how exactly they were talking about the possibility of, okay, so Ricky Starks having a face turn, Hook maybe doing a heel turn. They're both kind of came out of Team Taz, in which in this case, what could be happening here is that Taz is not happy with Starks becoming conceited and a little bit arrogant, and therefore losing, and basically this could possibly be leading to something like that. So also on the card last night, Brian Danielson lost his return match to Daniel Garcia, and even though Garcia got the TKO win on Brian Danielson when Danielson passed out from the pain from the whether you want to call it the sharpshooter, the scorpion, or whatever. However, Daniel Garcia did have a little bit of help, as somebody had grabbed Brian Danielson's leg from under the ring, and he was trying to get back in the ring, giving Daniel Garcia an opening to beat down Danielson enough to get him to pass out. It's possibly believed because Jake Hager had come in right after the match, right after right after the match, to congratulate, and just from the looks of it, looked like it was him who may have grabbed Danielson's leg. So, and then in the other match that was previously talked about, Swerve Strickland had defeated Mark Sterling and Tony Nese in a handicap match. So there you go. And then on tomorrow night's Rampage, you're going to see in a couple of matches that have already been announced. Ethan, in a return match, Ethan Page will be taking on Leon Ruffin from a return match Elevation, in which Page was upset that Leon Ruffin gave him a little bit more of a fight than he had wanted. And then in a teacher versus student matchup, Matt Sydal will be taking on Lee Moriarty, as it looks like Lee Moriarty may be possibly turning heel, cause of which probably frustrations over not winning the Ring of Honor title, among other things. All right. So anyway, that's all what's going on with and of course Jericho would come out and issue a challenge to Moxley for the interim world title to be held in a couple weeks. Quake on the Lake, the next big event for Dynamite. Let's see, and also just as a general reminder too, this Sunday, of course, will be Ric Flair's the event called Ric Flair's Last Match, promoted by Jim Crockett Promotions, and under the leadership of David Crockett and Conrad Thompson. Main event will see Ric Flair teaming with his son-in-law Andrade El Idolo, taking on the team of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal with Karen Jarrett in a corner. You will also have a couple of title matches on the card, which Josh Alexander will be defending Impact World title against Jacob Fatu. And then in a triple threat, in a three-way match, Jordan Grace will be defending the Knockouts title against Diona Purrazzo and Rachel Ellering. Rachel Ellering, of course, the daughter of Paul Ellering of the Road Warriors fame. There are a number of tag team matches of interest, including the Motor City Machine Guns representing Impact Wrestling taking on the Wolves. representing Ring of Honor with Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. As this card will feature talent from All Elite Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan, the NWA, among others. You'll have, of course, Harry Smith taking on Killer Cross in a one-on-one match. Have among some of the other tag team matches, including Briscoe, Jay and Mark Briscoe, be taking on Marshall and Ross Von Erich in a battle of brothers. Another family battle, as it were. You have, or in somewhat of another family battle, you have the father and son deal of Ricky and Kerry Morton with Robert Gibson in their corner. Ricky's tag partner in the Rock and Roll Express, taking on the team of Brock Anderson and of second generation stars Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. being led to the ring, being accompanied to the ring by Arn Anderson. We have a pair of four-way matches, one of which will see the Laredo Kid, chorus of Impact Wrestling, Ray Phoenix from AEW, and Bandito of Ring of Honor all taking on each other. And then you have a bunkhouse battle royal also happening. So that's some of the matches there, and then you have Ren Narita taking on Clark Connors from New Japan. There's some New Japan talent in there as well. So that's all the wrestling news I got for you. And with that, I just want to remind you, everybody, that tomorrow night we will be doing, of course, finishing up our coverage of March of 1939 Common Hill. RJ Carter from Critical Blast will be with me. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow night. And until then, I shall bid you all adieu, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.